I'm gonna start recording because otherwise I know myself, I will forget. What was kind of mandatory was reading through like the first draft of how we're gonna organize ourselves. And I'm really happy to see like I think everyone in here at least had like one read through. So this is really, really good. And I appreciate that because it definitely was a lot of work and it's still going to be a lot of work. And having your input is actually really important because you're the stakeholders in the system, right? So this is kind of our, oh, hey, Faridi, your face. This is so rare. Hi, nice to see you. So this is kind of like the most important thing we're going to talk about today. The other still very important thing, I didn't want to diminish this, is we also have Norbert joining us on the project. He's going to take care of, so you guys should know, or I already told you, but I will say this again. The Alana project has been incorporated in Peru as the Alana project SAC. Therefore, under the current conditions of this like physical company, the shares are set out to 99% I own and 1% is owned by Norbert, okay? Because this is just how the rules are and none of you other people are like, other than Isabel, I could have asked Isabel, are legitimate okay to have shares in there, right? So that's the reason for that. But of course we want to change that because you guys know what I'm aiming for, right? So I want you guys to be the shareholders of this company. This is what, this is supposed to be. And hence the layout that this first draft I'm proposing on how we can do that. So the way on how to do that, I will explain further in a bit, okay? But let's first give a warm welcome to someone new in our midst because he's going to take care, Norbert is going to take care of financial statements. So the monthly stuff that just has to be done by company rules to be compliant to the tax authorities here in Peru, right? But he's also going to help us a little bit looking over our strategic plans and our business development. Because he actually does have an MBA and he actually does know how to do this shit. So, Norbert, you want to say a few words? Now is your time to shine.
Hello, good morning. I'm Stella's husband for 8 years. Pleasure to be here. Yes, I've done an MBA. I think I can count numbers. So within the structure that you're having, I'm the number guy, the number cruncher, or like the controller. I look forward to this. Other than that, I work in the airport industry. I love airports and aviation, so that's my like job during the week. So I look forward to like learning from you, with you about all that what Alana is doing. So sometimes excuse myself if I have like some stupid questions because I'm not so much, well, a guy that knows so much like you in Web3, but I look forward to learning. Hi all.
Shelfin is like, the husband! Yeah, that's him. Why I'm blushing? Because it is a little bit weird, but I also think it's a good addition to our team because we have no one like him. And so I really appreciate his growth of interest that he has developed because obviously in the beginning he was like, I don't know, what is all of this about, right? But he's like growing into this bit by bit, and I think, yeah, so please like offer him some help to figure shit out, right? Because you guys know how hard it can be. Also, welcome Tanya. Shelfin is like, I'm all for it. Okay, this is, thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you guys. Okay.
Gracias.
You guys want to say anything, or you're good with the emojis and the text messages? You good? Say something. You can say something. Okay. I think this is like introvert's way of saying hi, okay? So he is not an introvert, so he's not like us, okay? He's different. My house is noisy, so I won't talk. No, that's fine, don't worry. And also welcome Tanya. I invited Tanya here. She's not a core member, but she's been part of Alana for a very long time. Literally the first person I ever did something with Alana together. So I invited her here also to, take a listen to this and see if she has some comments or feedback, because like I said, all of you are stakeholders in the system, so it makes sense to discuss everything with you today. Okay, so let me share my screen, and let me walk you guys through this. And also, give me a second, just in case you're waiting. Oh, damn. Okay, wait. We have one more person to join. Let me give you permissions. So Marie Bastian, that Paula knows very well, she's also going to join this call because she has also shown a lot of interest in this development. And also her company, World of Mesh, will join us as a partner to develop like these interrelationships better. So let me just, Marie. Okay, she should have access. Let's see. Can you try again? Okay, let's see if she can join now. I think she should be able to join now. Okay, so nonetheless, let's start this. So this board, and I hope you guys hear me well. If not, please let me know. But this board is essentially meant to demonstrate kind of like the whole journey, right? So you can see I broke it down into like 3 phases. So part 1, part 2, and part 3 are like literally 3 phases. I think 2 of them I have figured out for like the most part. So part 1 is almost done. That was like the official incorporation. Make sure we have someone who takes care of the financial statements, the monthly ones, and all of these things. I should also let you guys know, in the end, I decided for Peru for like 2 reasons, okay? First of all, there are no crypto regulations here, so we are very free to develop within this country without facing too many restrictions, right? That's one part for this. And the second part is that we have like very fast opportunities to adapt if something changes, right? Because here I have direct influence. If we were to do this in Singapore, for example, where a lot of, I think Shelpen also knows this, a lot of companies are currently incorporating if they are related to crypto, then you just don't have like a very firm or very direct handle on things because you always need to act through intermediaries. So in the end, I decided for those 2 reasons for Peru, just to have you in the know, but also, of course, I documented all of this, right? So if you ever want to check out like the different reasons and the research I have done, you can check this out on this board, okay? So yeah, this is something so here is like some research, right? You can look into it here. So the official incorporation has happened. I told you already about the current share distribution, which is of course not what we want this to be. So this brings us to part 2. So we're kind of in the middle of implementation phase 2. This phase 2 consists of a few different things. But let's take it easy. And the first thing we're going to look at is the reward system, which I shared with you a while back in the chat. So you guys can... Did someone change the background color? I'm like, huh? Wait, let me quickly go back in again. Yeah, someone changed the background. This is fine. It's okay. You can have another background color if you like. So this is kind of everything that needs to be answered, right? But you can see purple parts are like they have been answered, okay? Yellow parts are this is kind of what we need to look closer at today. And then everything that has no marking yet depends on what we decide here, okay? So this is kind of how this works. You don't have to read all of this. You don't have to understand any of this right now, right? This is what this meeting is for. It was just really important that you gave it a read prior to this meeting. So now we have some leverage to discuss this, right? So don't feel stupid. There are no stupid questions. Whenever you have one, please interrupt. So you're allowed to be rude today, please. Yeah. And also drop all of your questions or doubts or confusions in the chat. It's really important. This is, this is something that you start to understand, because otherwise our journey in Web3 will maybe come to a very sudden end. Okay. So just give it a try. Don't feel afraid. And if you have questions, just pump them out. Okay, so at the beginning of designing a system to coordinate us, right, and to make sure everyone is incentivized with what they need to be incentivized with, it is really important to state what is supposedly the function of the system, right? Why are we even doing this? So this is how I perceive it, also from the mission and vision statement that we designed, or a lot of us designed together, right? So the objective of the Alana project's underlying infrastructure, which the system is, or the incentive mechanism, is to create a working environment that is efficient and rewards those who are actively contributing to its growth and visibility. At the same time, it creates a system that is fair and doesn't abuse power, no matter how well it is intended. So, I have obviously a very, good intention towards this project, but the system should also make sure that I'm not the only one who has a say in it, right? Obviously, per current contribution levels, I would definitely have the most say in it, but I cannot just overrule everyone. So this is something we have to solve on a mathematical level, but don't worry. I'm going to solve this, okay? Just telling you, it is something that I'm looking for. I also added some reading resources here, mostly videos, to be honest, if you want to dive a little bit deeper, understanding why these kind of systems are interesting, right? So you can double click on this reading resources folder and then have a look at those. So my first question is is this something you're agreeing with? Do you have questions about it? Are you in doubt with this? Is there anything that we need to clarify? Okay, Paridi says thumbs up.
I'm good.
Okay, all good, sounds good. Another thumbs up, 100%. Okay, Shelpin is typing something. So guys, seeing we have to take this easy, right? Because I know not all of us are on the exact same level of these things, but this is essentially a coordination system to organize us. Okay, Shelpin says good to go. And Tanya is also tippy typing. I should have read it before. Yes, you should. But it's okay. We're walking through it, right? So don't fret it for now. The next part consists of the 3 phases that I already introduced to you, right? Oh yeah, there is actually another point. Ensure the safety. So right now we have started to sign partnership agreements and actually I want to give a little shout out to the Alana magazine team, because we have our first paid partnership, which is pretty amazing. That is kind of a little milestone. So that means, signing these contracts, until now, I had to do this as just a natural person, which can be fairly dangerous from a legal perspective. So this was also a necessity of why do we need this to be incorporated, right? So now it's not me as little Stella being responsible for everything, but it's the company's responsibility, right? Legally speaking, that's much, much safer. That was an additional layer of why we had to do the incorporation. Phase 2 is...
question to phase 1.
Yes.
So are we still a DAO? Or if someone asks me, what are we? Are we an SAC now, not a DAO anymore?
So right now, we are really just a company, right? But phase 2 will elevate us to a level of a DAC, the Centralized Autonomous Company. Right? This is also what is has been on the Git book for a while, right? Because I brought this to all of your attention quite a while ago, right? But the only way on how to ensure that, honestly, like most DAOs are actually decentralized autonomous companies, meaning, for example, Ethereum Foundation, right, as a company. Because we all need this legal layer of protection in the real world. So everyone is currently calling themselves a DAO, but have a legal incorporation in the real world to be, an entity that can take action, are actually a company. But they can internally organize as a DAO. But it's really hard to call that. We could do that. We could call ourselves a DAO after the second phase, right? But technically, it would not be very correct. I've been doing a lot of reading on that in the last year through token engineering, and technically, it would not be the truth. Like, a lot of people are doing it, but yeah.
But it is correct to say we started as a DAO and now we are a SAC? Or is it wrong?
No, okay. So yeah, I see also Parides confusion. So the SAC, right, is just a format. It's similar to the LLC or the, Paola in Germany, the GmbH, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so is that anonima cerrada. Yeah, exactly. So that is the literal, thank you, Isa. That's the literal translation, and it's essentially a company format, right, that protects the people who are like executing through this entity, essentially. So in Germany, it would be a GmbH. In America, it would be known as a LLC, right? And in Peru, it's an SAC. It's just different namings, but they all do the same thing, essentially. And you need it to be a legal entity in the real world. So you cannot really avoid having that layer if you want to be able to act as a company entity right now. In Nigeria, it's a limited. In the UK, it's also a limited. That's true. So equal to LTD. Yeah, true. India is also limited. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. That's the company format. Paola, does this help?
Yeah, I do understand where it is, but I wasn't sure. Like, we were a DAO and then now we are like just a proper company, right?
Technically, we were never really a DAO.
Oh, we were never a DAO. Okay.
No, technically, if you go into like how it's being defined, we have always been a DAC from the start, right? We, meaning me, were just too dumb to know that. That is the truth, right? And because everyone around me just went with, oh, we're a DAO, we're a DAO. We were not a DAO. Like, we were never a DAO at Digital X either, right? Because there was one person in charge. I mean, look who's making most of the decisions here, right? It's not every one of you, right? I keep asking, but like some of the decisions I end up just making because otherwise we will not move forward. So that is, it's a sad truth, but it is a truth, right? And I think it's better to just, recognize that truth and then working towards becoming more like a DAO. So phase 1 is very centralized, honestly. This phase is like the most centralized of all. To make this less centralized, we will do this. That will essentially, so let's just put it like this. This is the company state, right? This is a DAC state, okay? And then, so essentially we start very centralized to eventually end up very decentralized. That's kind of the idea of these 3 phases.
So if you would meet someone on the street and the person would ask you, like, what is the Alana project? Like, how do you explain it in like one sentence?
I mean, I would not make it about how we are organized. I would make it about the mission that we are following, right? And so...
Like if someone asks?
if someone asks about how we're organized, how our infrastructure is organized, I would say we're currently an incorporated company that wants to evolve through a decentralized autonomous company to achieve eventually a DAO state.
Okay.
One sentence. This is how I would say it, because that is definitely still, it was the motivation from the beginning, and I haven't given up on that. This is why I've been studying token engineering, to really learn what this means, right? But the more I read, the more I became aware of, well, the people we dealt with in the beginning, I think they had no idea either, right? I think, thinking back, I think a lot of the things that, that eventually, made us like leave Digital X were because we felt like we were kept in the dark, right? Decisions were made without us, and no one was considering even our opinion, even though it was supposed to be a DAO. And so, I want to avoid this, right? Because I do, same as I think Emma had at the time, and I still think she wants to get there of like making it as decentralized as possible. I think that's still the aim, right? And so this is our aim as well, but we have to, I think, acknowledge the facts first. And the facts are, there are not like very regular contributions from everyone, right? They are not necessarily, everyone is willing to commit to the DAO ways. So thinking, for example, noting down your contributions on D-work, right? It's been a real struggle and a real hustle. Designing the ecosystem, it's essentially been me and a little bit of Shelpin's input, right? But it's not something that feels very attractive to a lot of you, which is totally fine. But then, this is also reality, and it's okay, that's the reality. But talking about it and laying it out open, I think matters.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay, so let me go through. I see there's a lot of Okay, so phase 2, which hopefully then brings us towards this DAC state, is essentially meant for two things. So there are two actions really necessary. Action on Web 2 level is writing and anchoring the Alana project constitution on a legal level to the Alana project SAC. So that means that this system on how we actually do want to distribute the shares of this project, right? This needs to be documented in a legal document and be put inside the documentation for the Alana project as like being an SAC, right? So right now, like I said, it's me 99% ownership, Norbert 1% ownership. That's not what we want, and that's also very centralized. So we want this to be distributed towards everyone who's contributing in a dynamic way. And that document, that legal document, has to be embedded within the incorporation to work. Because we're essentially saying, hey, look at, this is our legal document, right? This is not how we're intending to actually recognize contributions and the shareholders or the shares, how they're distributed. So please look at this document to understand how the shares are actually being distributed, right? So this is how you, on a legal level, in the real world, can implement ideas that right now only work on chain into the real world. So this is the action on Web 2 level for phase 2. Actions on Web 3 level is proposing the constitution and voting on it via snapshot on chain. So that's the next thing we're going to set up. Implementing the multidimensional passport on chain as a dynamic NFT with an anchor to the present leadership board on D-work. So this is essentially the part that will allow us to calculate your weights in voting, right? So if you've been putting in a lot of work, right, you will have more of a saying in like what we are voting on. This is how the dynamic shareholder statement works. And the tool to do that is essentially this multidimensional passport, which I have its own presentation for. So you don't have to understand right now all the details about it. Just know it's a dynamic NFT that regularly pulls out the data points from D-work and essentially calculates how much voting power you have in the project. Is that okay for an explanation? Does it like Paula?
Ja, ja, ich würde mal ja sagen. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm really happy to do an extra presentation just about the passport and how it technically works. And we're working on this with a project that's called Owl Protocol. They are very good at just designing a token standards surrounding dynamic NFTs. So the difference between a normal NFT and a dynamic NFT, just in case that's not clear, is a normal NFT in quotation marks, but an ERC 721 that's not designed to be dynamic. You put data on it, like a dress, right? A dress that we've been making, and it will stay like this in forever, right? A dynamic NFT, it can change its form, its shape according to specific data points. So you could even have it change according to the time of day. So imagine you have like an NFT that visualizes as a little ball, right? In the morning it's yellow, on midday it's blue, and in the evening it's red, right? So this is a dynamic NFT. A dynamic NFT has, imagine it as an open backdoor through which it can, receive new data and new information. And this is why we need this to be dynamic, because your contribution levels keep changing, obviously. It's a very organic thing, right? So we need to be able to read that. Any questions? No? We're good. Alana wants to move forward. Okay. Phase 3 is the most unclear one to me right now, because this one requires even more work and development. But essentially it is there to give this all a social layer of which everyone is supposed to be protected in the system. So imagine you get sick and you cannot contribute to the project anymore. I want you guys to be still recognized for all the things that you've done. And this is also the phase in which we would launch the coin. Phase 3 is essentially the ERC 20 or the token launch point, right? This is where this happens. Before that, it will not happen, because that's the part we need to figure out. And in this part, we will have our own automated market maker. And again, I'm happy to be more detailed about that at another time. But essentially, it is supposed to fund your, healthcare, to fund your pension, according to the contributions, obviously, that you've already committed to the project, right? So that needs, like I said, this needs a lot of development. So right now, I'm really happy if you guys have like more concrete ideas to talk about this. But this is like the most unclear phase to me currently. Is it necessary to launch our own? It isn't. I think for phase 3 to work, it is necessary. Yes. Or something like it, this will be probably in 6 months to a year from now, right? So the question is the technology that will be there until this point and the regulations we are facing, right? So we have to see how all of these factors evolve to make sure we design something that is actually workable. So it doesn't make a sense, launching a coin when, like, let's say 80% of people in this project live in countries where cryptocurrencies are forbidden trade, right? This is like obviously not very beneficial. So we have to talk about those things as time keeps moving forward and our ideas keep moving forward. Paridi, you want to maybe say something about, does it scare you that we might have our own coin?
No, but I'm just clueless about it. So I was like, I was reading through also, and I had the same question, that how it's gonna work, because it requires a lot of money inflow, right? So.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, a workaround to this is NFTs that are infused with tokens, right? So that's an option as well. And this is essentially, so the next state is the token utility, right? So like I mentioned, the dynamic NFT, which we would be using for voting, is essentially still a normal NFT standard, right? But then, for example, instead of just having an ERC20, we could have an ERC20 that only works when it's infused in an NFT. I know this is very technical, so please don't don't get scared, right? But I noted some problems with both of these things down here, right? So if you want to read through these at some point, but for now, these are like my two, I want to say, go-to solutions for now. Depending on how regulations continue to be implemented in our different countries. That's something, I constantly have an eye on, obviously. And according to that, I will make adaptations to this part, right? I don't know if you saw, but I just sent this out this week in a newsletter. Last week, Kuwait forbids the trading, the investment, and all of it when it comes to cryptocurrencies. And of course, the only entity in all of Kuwait who's still allowed to do this is the central bank. So, it's not going so well, these things, right? And so we have to just keep an eye on it. Okay, just saying, are there any questions so far on your mind? Anything that makes you doubt or scared or not feeling comfortable?
No, not right now. I'm getting what you're saying.
Okay, no problem. But if, don't feel scared, like this time is the time to ask and doubt and also oppose, If you think something of this just doesn't sit with you, right? This is the time to speak up. Because you're the guys I'm designing this for, okay? So I need you on board, or I need you to speak up now so we can make arrangements to change certain aspects of this layout. Okay, so the next part is the stakeholders. That's essentially all of us, right? All of us are so-called stakeholders in the system. And so I've revised essentially the roles because it's been brought to my attention by different members of this community that they were not happy on how we're currently accounting for the roles, right? And I don't want to say there was like, anything revolutionary that happened, but it was expressed that some people were not happy about it. I put, just on a side note, I put this here because research on motivation is kind of like a fundamental layer of like how incentives work, right? So this is something I'm working on right now, but I wanted to lay out it for you in case you want to read it up. There's like two types of motivation for people to do anything in their lives. One is extrinsic, one is intrinsic, right? And so I've done like a very short summary on how those two work, and we will need to talk about this as well. But for now, let me introduce the new roles, okay? So we have the core team that is going to be called very boringly core team. So I will give up on my nucleus team because I've realized, and also it was brought to my attention that no one gets this, right? So it's fine. We will get rid of this term and we will just be called core team. It's fine. So the core team forms the foundational pillars of the Alana project. You already know that, right? But there is something new to this. Core team members are involved in the following branches that support the overall project ecosystem and maintain its stability and growth. So that encapsulates those 4 areas really, right? Because those are really core contributions. Only these 4 areas count as core team contributions and will only be recognized if a contribution has been made above a certain amount of experience points. This means that it is a role that one will need to work for. It is not granted or gifted anymore. Upon reaching the required threshold of XP, the participant can hand in a proposal to apply for the role. Only after successful voting period, the role is being granted, right? Rewards. Voting power, treasury payouts, and freedom to participate in the development branches up on the expertise and need, and obviously additionally gain revenue splits from whatever is being sold through the project arms, right? As obviously, you can see this, there is still stuff that needs to be fixed, like for example, what is, the required threshold? All of these kind of things. But yeah, How do you feel about this? Because that's quite a change. Oh, we know the nucleus guys are the core team. No need to scrap the name. I know, Shelpen, you know, but the outside world doesn't know. We can still call ourselves internally like this. I will still leave the role in there. I just like it too much.
So, I mean, I think it's a fair system. The only question that I have, if I lose the core team membership, do I also lose the access to all the information? Because that, if I lose the access to all the information, like all the development that is happening, then I think it's more difficult to eventually go back to it, to like climb up again when I have enough time.
No, I think the only access that you would, so you would not, so to speak, like, we can just make you an example if is that okay for you, Paula?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So, for example, you are between those two layers currently, right? Because you've made contributions to the core functions, and you've made contributions to the project arms. So, literally, you still would be in this. You would not move, right? So, you specifically, you would still be a core team member because you've contributed to both, exactly like making use of this part. Let's just say, right? But let's take, I don't know, who can we take as another? Tanya, for example, right? Tanya is a contributor because she's been actively contributing to development branches, to be specific to those two, right? She has not contributed to any of the internal workings, so she would be a classic contributor. She is beyond a collaborator because her consistency in contribution has been much higher than that of a collaborator. So to be precise, you specifically would not lose access, right, to any of these channels, and you would still have access to every of those channels. So even if you would get demoted, which you won't, Paula, then you still would not lose access to the development channels. The development channels will be still open to you, right?
Okay.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so is that specific to, sorry.
Okay.
Is that specific to only her, or is that like the framework for like core team members? Like if they fall short of that core team expectation at some point, they don't lose access to the channels and all that stuff? They still, have access.
No, I think once you have been accepted into a certain role, you don't lose the access anymore. I don't think so. Unless you there is of course something we need to discuss, right? So what do we do with people who don't communicate with us and who just vanish, right? And might just working for competition. Let's make this about business, right? What do we do then? Do we at some point, after let's say a silent treatment of 3 to 6 months, do we at some point just withdraw access and then just give them the opportunity to reapply for it? This is actually a question to you guys. It's not like I have an answer to this.
I mean, yes. We should do that, yeah.
Yeah, I think there should be something to to keep the balance.
I'm just consequences. I don't know how to call this right now differently, but let's work with this. Paridi, can you tell me your comment again and just try to be a little bit more loud because I can barely hear you.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Still very quiet, but wait,
am I clear?
I think I can make you give you more volume. Let's try again. Yes?
Yeah, so I was asking before that how do we know if some person joined as a collaborator and then probably they are up for the no, some person joined as a contributor and then they are constantly working with us and then they want to become a contributor, sorry. So I'm saying is reverse. First, the person is joining as collaborator and then becoming contributor. So what's the level that he needs to cross to be a contributor and then to the core team? So for example, like right now, I belong to the contributor segment that we are working on the boutique, but I haven't contributed anything to the core team. But I want to join in. So what's that level and how do we decide that?
Yeah, so for now, I put this in place. But again, this is open for discussion, right? I thought we could keep this still very soft and easy to a certain degree. This role is granted upon a successful proposal, suggesting at least one significant contribution to the advancement of the Alana project or showcasing sustained dedication. So, for example, in Shelpin's case, right, he started with the Alana magazine, but he would not, in our new system, he would not immediately, sorry, I'm taking all of you guys as examples, but I think this is the best way on how to make this more tangible. So right now, in this new system, Shelpin would start as a collaborator, but because of, showing consistent dedication, right, I would eventually have proposed him to become a contributor and put up his vote, if that makes sense. So this is something, all of us can do, and I'm actually working on kind of templates right now that we can use. So whenever we think, I know, Paridi, you've brought a lot of friends into, and colleagues into the Alana project, right? So if you, for example, if Caffeine or someone, right, would be starting to think about certain things and contribute to certain things, right? Then at some point you might want to talk to them and be like, hey, would you have some interest joining as a contributor on a more regular basis, or joining essentially one of the project arms and help us developing them, like making, let's say, a dedicated website for the Alana magazine, for example, right? Then you would hand in a proposal if they agree. You would hand in a proposal, and we would essentially vote on this member being upgraded collectively. That would be kind of the idea. What do you think about this?
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does, of course. But again, the same question that you just asked, that what if if we agreed to make them contributor but they don't show up like they should, or they become silent after that, then what should we do?
Yeah, I think
Have the same
this is
question
something
in my
I've
head.
been horribly failing at. I think we need to implement consequences for these things. I never want to exclude anyone, and maybe this is also my problem and my weak point. But at the same time, you're right, there need to be consequences. If there are no consequences, right, then why would you even, right? Because this is exactly one of the biggest struggles that we're facing now in the project, is that there are no consequences to behavior. And I think this needs to be fixed. The only question is how can we fix that, right? And so my only answer to this is giving timely rules. So something like silent treatment over the duration of 3 months just demotes you back to just being a member, right? And then you have to work your way up again, for example. Silent treatment really means this person is not getting back to you, right? Silent treatment would not necessarily mean this person is right now having a hard time or being sick, right? Or anything like that. It would really mean this person is not showing their face or responding to any of your messages for 3 months. But then, is that good enough? Is this something then, for example, if you're the team lead of Alana's boutique, right? Let's just say this is you, Paridi. Would you be okay with that? Or do you think more immediate consequences would be necessary?
Yeah, I guess something immediate would be necessary, because I won't wait for my project to be done. I can't postpone it for 3 months, because if one person left the project, it affects everyone.
It
So
does.
Yeah, same thing happened with us like last week when me and Tanya both went there and we were like really stuck up. So I guess something should be done on the immediate basis. So we need to figure that out.
Okay, I will note this and think of this and come up with a solution. And if you guys have any ideas, obviously, please feel free, right? Immediate action, semi-immediate action, and long-term actions for non-contributors who previously have committed. Were these some good emojis? I missed the emojis that were flowing by.
I've got a couple of suggestions.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you mentioned, someone being the team lead of another boutique. And yeah, how about not necessarily having more than one team lead, but, having someone who can, is like, someone is in charge of something at this point right now. And yeah, just like having a backup kind of person, like an assistant team lead of some sort. So in case something happens, not that we're praying for something like that to happen, but in case something happens and the person just goes off, like all radio silence, there should be someone who's capable enough to, like, keep things running, or even replace the person if we eventually find out that the person might not be coming back.
Good point.
Yeah, especially because it would need to be immediate. So I think having a backup would be, better than.
Okay. Yes. Noted. Any more questions, or should I move forward? You guys agree?
I'm not sure that what I'm going to say it's going to work, but I'll be very open to share an example. I recently, a few months back, I did something with Fashion Dow. They have some kind of competition, and now what they are doing, like that's what Shelpan just said, that we need to have backups for the people. So they kind of collected everyone's email, and according to the projects they receive, they contact designers. So for example, like yesterday they approached me to do something, like are you interested in that. So I guess making something kind of a room for those who are not constantly working with us or want to work us, but allowing them that if we have opportunity, do you ever want to join us or do some project according to your skills. So collecting those data with other designers, because it also encourage others to that we remember them and we would like you to join this project if this person goes, or even if we need sometimes, like if with the boutique goes well, then we might need more hands. So we can reach out to those people, those artists, to help us in the project specifically. So that might be
I think currently,
useful.
I think you're right. This is, generally speaking, this is a really good idea, honestly. The only little doubt I have is that a lot of the things we're doing here, I want to overpraise us, but there's a lot of cutting edge stuff going on here. I mean, you and Tanya know this very well, right? How many other designers who
Yes.
simply do fashion can do now these highly specific workflows? It's not a ton, right? We know a ton of designers, but not a ton of designers can do this workflow. So this is my only doubt, but I think generally speaking, this is a really good idea, and we should think of how to implement this in the system. It's really good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope it works, because I guess it works for me in Fashion Dow because I'm not active there, but still they remember me that I have these skills and I can incorporate that in their projects and get some revenue. So yeah. That's all.
No, it makes sense. Okay, Tanya is typing. I wonder what she's going to say about our most recent struggles. So you can see I kind of took those two groups apart, okay? So we have, this is the active side. You know why it's called active, right? Because, well, it requires activity. And we have passive stakeholders, right? But we cannot completely ignore them. So that would be partners and then would be citizens. And I'm still very much in doubt. This is also, you can always read my comments. This needs to be revised. I have doubts about the rewards. So this is my honest opinion. But yeah, just, give this a read. Let me know if you think they should have even voting power, because voting power is literally the most essential thing you can own in this project, because this makes you decide how it will move forward once we've implemented phase 2, right? That will not be me making decisions. So right now it's been a very convenient, but also a very one-sided thing, right? This will change after implementing phase 2, because then this is literally on all of us. So we better don't fuck it up, okay? Okay, let me jump to the reward types. Like I said, we have voting power. My opinion, the most important thing, because this gives you real influence and real power, right? Money is nice to have, and I'm not against money, so whoever thinks I'm a socialist, you're absolutely wrong. I like money. I like buying a new computer stuff, for example, right? I like it. But I do tend to think that in a project, the most powerful thing you can own is part of this company. So voting power is the most important part in here. And before you get scared, don't get scared. It's a really simple calculation, okay? So imagine we have a leaderboard. I just want to explain how voting power is being calculated, right? So let's imagine we have participant 1, 2, and 3 in the system. Can be a contributor, can be a core member, can be a collaborator. Doesn't even matter, okay? So their current leaderboard status is 300 experience points, 20 experience points, and 120 experience points. In total, 100% would be 400 experience points, right? So if you sum those up, you land at 400. No, actually don't land at 400. You land at 440. What the hell? So weighted voting would be translated as follows, right? You would essentially calculate the percentage of this, right? And so this would give participant 1 over 50%, 68% voting influence right now. Participant 2 would have 4.55, and participant 3 would have like an average of like 27% something. In this system, so far so good. We need to implement something like a mathematical formula that can regulate that no one will ever have more than 49.9% in the system. Okay, so this is something that needs to be done in order for us to not make the system very corruptible on chain, right? So this is also my comment underneath, in case you were wondering what this comment is about. So imagine if, similar to a stable coin, you would always like dumb it down to like less than 50%, right? Because right now I would own way too much. So for example, in my case, I will start studying full-time in September while also working full-time. Not really sure how I will handle everything, but don't want to lose anything in Alana, but also don't want to leave you guys hanging. Right. So I think the right approach is the one that comes with most common sense, right? So tell us early enough in advance, right? So you've told us now, so this is helpful. I wish though you would have told us sooner, but that's fine. And, so we can prepare for that. And maybe for these kind of cases, we could come up with a structure where we put your membership on pause, right? We're not degrading your role or anything, but we will put you on pause. And, you told me? Really? Oh, I'm sorry. It's been a lot. So maybe, this is something we could implement additionally. Oh, how nice. What are you going to study? Okay, you guys have that conversation. But this is something else we could implement, right? So on pause notes for members to hand in and let people know they will not be able to contribute as much as before or not at all for a while, right? So we can design something like this. This is really good feedback. Thank you for bringing this up again. Sorry, Tanya, I didn't really take note of it before, but this is really helpful. Do you guys have any questions about what?
Yeah. So just a little one. Sorry. The pause time is like for how long? Do we need to define that?
I think we could we could do it in phases, but I think the maximum would be up to a year. I think we could treat this like a sabbatical in real life. You know how people sometimes can take sabbaticals from their work. That's like up to a year. Like there is no longer, right?
Yeah.
And so we could say like, okay, first we grant you 3 months, right? Then we grant you another 3 months. So we could revisit this every 3 months, right? Have like a talk with this team member and be like, so I remember, for example, Tanya and Paola, when both of them started their new jobs, they actually were, they were very excited to join us, but then they started their new jobs and it became very stressful and very hectic, right? So I think this is going to be very similar for Tanya again. And only after, I want to say 6-7 months, Tanya felt able to be, to contribute again. So I think, this is probably most realistic. What do you think?
Cool, yeah. Yes, agree.
I don't even know how to write sabbatical, right? Up to a year, but no longer. Okay? Tanya, you think?
Yes, cool.
Yeah? You guys think this is, we can do that. I mean, we will, of course, right? But we're talking this through. Just imagine it will not just be, us like, 10, 12, 13, 15 people in total right now, right? Just imagine this really grows even further and it will be like over 100 people to coordinate, right? We're also talking for that eventuality. So this is how we're setting up the system so people can more easily join us and know the rules. So your feedback, very, very, very helpful. You have no idea, okay? This is like, keep it coming. Keep it coming, guys. This is good. Okay, so any questions to the topic of how voting power is calculated from the D-Work leaderboards? Anything on that?
Yes. Another one. What's participant 1, 2, 3 and why it is like 300 and certain 20 and then 120?
Oh, okay. These are just abstract.
I didn't get that.
Imagine this would be Paridi, this would be Stella, this would be Isabu, right? And these are made up points. In D-Work, the way it really looks like, let me show you. Alana Accounting is open. Why is Alana Accounting open? I want to talk about accounting. Okay, the way it really looks like currently is like this. It's calculating now, calculating all the points together. Chap, repositioning everyone. So, these are currently my task points. 3,133. Followed closely by Heach with 410. Followed closely by Zozzers with 685. I know why she's here. It's probably because of the tasks she has done. This is how it's... let me actually set it up like this. So Kirsi would be second in place with 760. Zoe with 685. So that would be participant 1, 2, and 3. But this is how you can look it up, right? This is the leaderboard here.
Okay, got it.
Right? So what does it tell us? Paridi? We need to get you to work, to put your work in here. Because you've done a lot of stuff, and Tanya as well.
Yes.
Right? This is why D-Work is so important.
We'll do it.
I hope I don't need to express this again. I hope this example shows why D-Work is so essential to what we're doing here, okay? Even though you hate it, you gotta do it. Okay, then we have the revenue splits. I think...
Yes, I realize the urgency of doing this.
Yeah, you got it? Okay, good. And okay, so revenue splits are calculated within each project arm, right? So we've set this already up for the magazine, and we've already set this up. But what we're doing in boutique is translated in DWork. Yes, I told you though, but it's fine. I also haven't really given you an introduction yet. So everything you are currently working on in the boutique and on the Alana magazine, we will eventually have to note down and we can do this during the next meeting on Saturday because you've never done this, Tanya. It needs to be in there to be calculated as contribution. So the three of us, maybe Paridi, Tanya, and me, next week, Saturday, let's just hop on the board, okay? And let's do this once together so you can see how it is being done. And is that okay? Isabu, like, let's do this. Yeah, okay, nice. Sounds good. Revenue splits, we have figured out for boutique, and we have figured out, at least for boutique on like merch, right? We figured that out, and we figured it out for the magazine. Every other development branch doesn't really have revenue splits, like at least not like, put in place ones. I've obviously thought about it, but I have not put them in there because there are too many things that are still very much in question. And then if you're a core member, you get treasury payouts, right? And this is how that part works. And I want to visualize those three things for you so you don't have to read through this, right? But I wasn't able to do that yet, but I will do it. And yeah, and this is how far we are. This is the next thing I want to work on, which is like the impact level of decisions. So I don't think every contributor has to vote on every decision we make, right? Because they might also lack the knowledge. But for example, I think I think essentially voting proposals should be structured by impact level. So if it's something that's really close to the core, like for example, accepting funding, right? Let's just say, we get like invited by a venture capitalist to receive their funding proposal, right? This is something that I don't want. I'm going to be very honest about this. And this is also why this is essentially a DAC, right? I don't want contributors to be able to vote on this. Collaborators, sorry. Contributors, of course, sorry. But I don't want citizens or partners who come from different interest groups or collaborators to be able to vote on these decisions. I think that should be preserved for core team members and for contributors only. So this is just an example, right? Marie Bastien says thumbs up. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the support, girl. But stuff like, Alana's birthday bash, like our last proposal. I think everyone should be able to vote on that because that's a fun idea and all of us are involved in that, right? And it's totally fine to put this out and have people vote on it because the impact level is very low. Right, but so I want to, this is, like I said, this is the thing I'm going to work on next. And also we've been over time, so I don't want to, like I know this is like a lot to take in. So I don't want to completely overexhaust you. But I think it was really important to, to bring these topics like forward to you and talk about this. I'm also really happy like for all the feedback. So I think now would be the time to just give like maybe 5 to 10 more minutes depending on like what you guys think. What are your general thoughts? Do you feel comfortable with this? Do you think this is something that will help us, achieve like our mission? Do you think this is like absolutely unnecessary and futile and you don't really understand why I even did this, right? So I think now is time for like general feedback. So I'm really happy to hear you guys.
Okay, I think I'll go first. Personally, I think this is a great idea. It does help for like working company. that's going to be, registered legally and stuff, to have a working structure and, rules and regulations. Sure, it's a DAO, and people should be allowed to give their opinions and stuff, and to be able to contribute at the level that they want. So there has to be structure. So I think this is a great start, and obviously we can improve going forward. But this is actually a well thought out plan, and yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Thank you, Shelpen. It's really nice of you. Anna, well done and makes sense. Okay, that is good to hear. Do you have any other feedback? Or you're like completely fine?
Hi there. Yeah, I can just jump in.
Oh, Marie,
Can you guys
yeah,
hear me?
go.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm quite new here, so I don't know if I met you all. So hi everyone, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm probably more on the partner side, and I think it makes totally sense that I, as a partner, would not have a right to vote because you guys been so involved in building this. You should definitely keep it that way. And I just wanted to add also because I also have my own company on the side. I know how much business topics are in the background. If you don't have a company like in Germany, a GmbH, or I don't know what example you had there for your area. I can totally understand. I can only tell you guys from a business perspective, someone who works with other businesses, there's so much complications, and this will make it really easy on Stella as well. I just wanted to highlight that because there are really responsibilities behind it when you start pulling this up to the next level. So cheers to you guys. Keep up the amazing work. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you so much. Paola, you had a lot of questions, so I'm just gonna poke you directly. How are you feeling about all of this? Because that's quite a lot, no?
No, it was everything super understandable. So thank you for writing everything up. I think everything makes sense.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't have nothing to verbessern, to improve, or nothing to say negatively.
Okay, this makes me happy because we've been in this we started this essentially at the same time, right? And it means a lot to me if you don't feel uncomfortable with what I'm proposing here, because I realize there's a lot of shift in it, and so thank you. That's good.
Yeah, no, totally. My only concern was at the beginning that I would kind of lose the information when I'm not a core member anymore. But I mean,
no.
It's clear now, so everything's fine.
You're gonna be okay. Okay, yes, now it makes more sense and easy to grasp. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. To Isabu, anything from your side? Because you read this today and we walked through it, so for you it's the most present.
I think that's an amazing job from your side, Stella, and thank you for making all this clear for us. I was reading actually about also Kirsty's questions, and I was wondering about the first part that she asked, and I didn't get it right. Maybe can you please explain me this again? Kirsty asked if you will clean the slate and have core team and contributor members to apply for roles. I don't think so, right? Which we are all still in this team, and we are all also working on the work to completing the task to gain points, right? It's not that you're gonna kick us and then get us all back in again, right? Or something like that.
So this is something I think we should be discussing, right? Because
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary. Because as you saw, how contributions are calculated will be fair no matter what, because the points will not make a difference no matter to the role you're holding, right? You don't get double point count because you hold the role of being a core member, for example, right?
Okay.
So it will not make a difference. So I don't think we should take probably this extra step. Unless Kirsty feels for some reason it's a very necessary thing to do. I don't think it is necessary, but something that we should discuss is according to the new roles, right? Some of us, so for example, I don't know if you noticed, but Kat is officially still a core member. Kat hasn't been here since February, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that would be applying to the, silence rule, right? And she would be essentially downgraded to member on the server, and she would not be listed as a core member anywhere anymore, right? So, for example, who else do we have? Deep Thought, right? Deep Thought has been checking in, and he's been contributing here and there to research and development. So even though he is not contributing like every week on a schedule, right? He's still contributing, and on a regular basis. So there is no need to kick him from his core member role, right? For example, Anatarian, right? I'm also I'm just going with you guys sometimes because you guys are here, right? So we've been not working much on the Alana show, right? Because of like a ton of different circumstances. I don't even have time right now to work on it, right? But also Anna has never I think in the beginning we were talking to work on the business development side together, but this has never really come to fruition, right? So technically Anna would not be a core member anymore according to these new rules. She would be a contributor if she were to continue working on the Alana show, right? But since that is not active either, right now, essentially, according to the new rules, Anna would need to be, I'm so sorry to say this, it hurts me a little bit, would need to be demoted to a collaborator, right? Because she's been contributing, but not anymore for like a few months on like the project level or the core level. So this is a good question. I don't know we talked about consequences, right? And I don't want anyone here to feel bad about themselves. Okay, this is not what this is about. Don't feel bad about it, Anna. It's totally fine, and I know the reasons and everything. So don't fret about it. But this is something to discuss. Is it okay to then just be demoted, right? And someone else takes the place?
I will understand. I will understand. If it was my case, I would understand. I wouldn't take it like personally or anything. It's just what it is, right?
Your only role that you're taking on here right now is social media, and that's a core function. So you're very clearly a core member.
But if you would demolish me, not demolish me. What's the word?
Demote you. Demote you.
Demote me. Sorry.
The system would eventually demote you. Yeah.
I will not take it bad because I understand those are the rules. And if any time I want to come back and say, okay, I have more time, I'm there. Like, I have more time. I have this idea still. Like, can we please work on this? I would like to be again Nucleus member and just work on this. I don't know, real 3D model that I have on mind.
Yeah,
something
for
like
example,
right?
If Anna, next month she's like more free and has like more, like same with Tanya. Tanya just told us essentially for 9 months she might not be able to contribute, right? Like, she's not gonna be out because of that, right? This is what I want to ensure. Like, she can just come back, but the only thing that I think we really require is to be in the known about it, so we can reorganize our team. So now that I really have listened, and I apologize again for that, but now that I've listened, right? Like, Paride and I can talk on how to reorganize our team for the Alana Boutique, like in these months, and who to maybe ask to join us, right? So I think this is essential. It's like no one, okay, just let me, because I'm recording this, right? No one is just gonna be kicked out, okay? There's no such thing as kicking anyone just out unless they're really doing malicious things in name of the project, right? I think can we agree on this right now? Show me some emojis for that, please. No one's just gonna be kicked out, okay? Because life happens. Okay, thanks. Thank you for that, okay? But for us, in order to ensure that we are not just, being left up in the air, we need to implement some rules. So the question is, like, how can these rules look like, right? So can we, there's the silent treatment thing, right? Or there's this new sabbatical rule maybe that we can design, right? But then how is it with demoting people? Is that okay? Will people take this much too hard, right? Like, what's your take on this, essentially? I think that's the question. So Isabel already said she would not take it too hard. Like, if she feels like she's not been contributing for a while, she would not mind being demoted. So Anna, I'm just gonna straightforward, because I brought up your example and now I feel bad about it, but I had to pick someone. How do you feel about this?
I think it makes sense what you're saying. I would have to think about it a little more in terms of what I have contributed and what that means, you know, the things that I did contribute. A little bit in business development, and then also what I've done. What does that mean?
I think you started to reach out to some people, no? On behalf of the project.
Yeah, but I mean, even in terms of the work that I did with the Alana show. So what happens to that? Does that mean that it gets picked up once I start working on it, or
or someone might take over from you?
That okay,
right?
So and
that's an option, I guess.
And so my contribution, what happens to the work I put in?
That still needs to be implemented on DWork. I think you haven't done this though.
Okay, so say it is implemented on DWork, then what?
Yeah, so if it's implemented on DWork, it's still going to count as like your voting power, right? It's not going to be ever lost. But if it's not on DWork, it's almost like you've never done it, which, you know, is why I've been prompting you guys to put your shit on DWork all the time. And I even set up like these regular community meetups every month to meet and do it. Yeah, but they would not go anywhere, right? Yeah? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that it would not just be taken away from you, right? That's what I'm trying to say. And you could come back anytime. That's also not a struggle, right? But okay, let me ask you back. What do you think would be a decent consequence?
You know, I think we haven't had the conversation about like, all right, where is the show? What are we planning? You know, so I think having a conversation about it and just figuring out, you know, what we want.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So
yes, it is actually. It is the need for first, you know, get together everything and combine our thoughts, because the script was really nice.
Yeah, and there's already
and
a
I
lot
really
of work.
miss it.
Yeah, and there's already a lot of work there. Good work that you guys did.
Yes, I guess we need to do it back.
I do have one question for the future.
Yes.
So let's take the Alana project as the Alana show as an example. So let's say Anna put a lot of work in it, like for the first few months, and then she's not part of the project anymore. Someone takes over, and then when the months passed, we gain money from the project, but Anna's not going to be in the kind of core membership anymore or the contributor role anymore, so she's not going to get any rewards from that, right? Because it was too early. So is there a way to kind of, I don't know, like?
Yeah, this is a really good point. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just I'm still sharing my screen, right? I'm just putting this in as a note. This is a good point. Okay, noted. Good point. And yes, there is most probably a way, right? But it's a mathematical way, so I don't have a right now answer to it. but there is most probably a way to account for that, and we should account for that because early contributors tend to do a lot of foundational groundwork, right? And so I want to even say it's the hardest part of the work, I think. So that should be accounted for as well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Good. Thank you for that. Anna, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I think Paula, yeah, you were able to express it better than me. So yeah, but I'm not saying that I don't want to work on it anymore. I just have had to
I know.
be on hold. Yeah.
No, I do know, right? And also just for everyone in here to know, it's not that Anna doesn't want to do anything, right? It's really, it's just a lot of stuff going on. And I think this is, a lot of us sometimes struggle with these things. So, in your case, I would question if we shouldn't be counting this as like a sabbatical time, you know? Right? You will not leave us, right? I'm like, right? You don't want to leave us, right?
No, I don't know what to call it. I don't know if I should call it a sabbatical or what I should call it. So
I mean, a
can't
sabbatical
really
from this project in a way, right? Not like in life, obviously. You're not taking a sabbatical at all. I'm aware. No, but this is good, you know. This is type of like, yeah, you speak first.
Oh, me?
Weren't you saying
Or-
something?
I don't think so. No. Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, we'll just let me think.
I should
then-
honestly, I should poke you after the meeting. I would poke you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I will poke you. Okay, so to wrap this up, because I think we're reaching like a threshold here. Tanya, I think hourly commitments. Yeah, we could figure that out, but you know there are tasks you sometimes need more hours to complete than others. You know that very well, or sometimes it's also not very calculatable. So it gets very tricky, I think. But it's definitely something to think about, right? Like how many hours are expected, maybe. But you know, then we get into this like corporate mindset of I'm sitting in here for 6 hours and then I've accomplished my task, right? So I want obviously to avoid that kind of mindset because it's not the Web3 mindset, honestly, that we need, right? So let's think this through. Work hours, I don't know. Also, we are living in very different parts of the world, so you know this like working hours kind of like idea might be tricky. But yeah, I want to leave you just with one thought, because like again, I think it's been a lot. If you have any additional ideas, if you think, you know, something like you're reviewing those documents again and you're like, I don't know about this one or that one, right? Then you guys should have editing rights. So feel free, obviously, to edit directly on the board. But also, you know, if you think, I'm not sure, right, just drop me a direct message. And I will really make sure to implement all of those things that you said today, because they're all very valuable and they will make the system so much better, right? This is why we need to have these meetings. And yeah, even though it might be a little bit daunting, but I really appreciate it. And please go into your Sundays. One more thing that I want to add is I will get rid of community calls as we have had them so far. I'm suggesting we're going to do a monthly Twitter Spaces, which we give like the most important updates on, and make it more open to the public. Can you show me your emojis? Who is in favor of this? So Twitter Spaces, 1 per month, half an hour updates. Anna in favor, Isabu in favor, Tanya in favor. I'm in confusion. Shelton, why are you in confusion about the community calls? We've had
Or about the hours, the working hours?
Oh, I don't know. Shelpin, may you want to speak? Maybe you want to speak? Speak. You have connection? The community calls. Yeah, so I'm the only one organizing those calls. And it's not a lot of people showing up here in the Discord, right? Today is a nucleus call. We shifted that from last week to this week. But so technically this is actually a nucleus call that you're attending. This is not a community call. And the community calls have been not very well attended. And also I've discussed this morning with Isabel that they might just also be a little bit bothering to have them on Sundays, right? So yes, Twitter spaces are nice, but I guess we need one call inclusive as well, maybe in longer duration. I'm just a partner, so we'll skip the vote. You can vote on this. It's a low-level impact one. No, so it's I think it's really the community call. So this is a nucleus call. We will still have our nucleus call as this one in this channel on Discord in like kind of a more closed environment, right? So I think that should not change. I'm really talking about like the open community calls. I think that could be reduced to 1 per month and to Twitter to make it just more accessible to people, because we still have a lot of people who are not very frequently on Discord but are part of our community and would really love to be given some updates. Cool then. Okay, in favor. Anyone else in favor? Because right now we have like me, Anna, Isa, Tanya, Paridi. What about Maria's withholding? What about Norbert, Shalpin, and Paola?
I wrote in the comments, yes.
Oh, you. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't see your thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, cool. We're in agreement. Perfect. This is ideal. Okay, let's start with this next week. Perfect. Have a nice
Okay.
Sunday. Bye.
Thank you, you too.